Okay, gamers. It's me, Navon. Today, I'm gonna be walking you through my amp setup. I just got the tubes for my main amp, and I'll be walking you through my pedals as well today. But yeah, I just got the tubes for my main amp. I just got. I'm getting that set up. This is a different day or whatever than what the rest of the footage you're seeing is. I just wanted to film it because I said I was gonna show you guys the tube install, but I'm not going to because I want to be precise with it, and I'd rather not kill myself. So let me just show you what's going on. I guess the low light of this camera is not very good, but I got the amp apart. This is the DSL 40 combo amp. And I put the new tubes in already. I got some groove tubes, match set. These are the 35s, I think. Yes, sorry, EL34s. And then I also had I replaced all of the preamp tubes as well. So the power tubes and the preamp tubes. So now I'm just going to bias it, and then I'm going to get it running and, break it in. And then I'll probably film the rest of this video later. This was kind of unplanned. These tubes I ordered back in January. They were supposed to be here sometime in February, and then they got pushed back to the end of March. And they never came, and I contacted my Sweetwater guy, and he was like, oh yeah, they won't be here until the first week of April. So that's where we're at with this, but I finally got them in. So, anyways, this is the amp that I'm working on. I'll see you guys when I'm actually filming a video. This is just like some random insert shot. Peace. All right, guys. How the fuck do I do this? Hey, I'm back. So you guys probably just saw a video of me a couple days ago installing the tubes in my amp, and I mentioned that I'm gonna do a whole video, and you're watching that whole video. So let's get to the whole video. Today I'm gonna show you guys what the fuck is up with my guitar amps, my guitar pedals, and then I'm gonna give you guys some tone dembols. I'm gonna give you guys some tone dembols and hit the membols on the crumbles. I don't know what the fuck that's all about. Okay. I'm gonna show you guys my band room as well. It's band room. That's Jones. He's always hanging out. Okay, so let me just take you there. So to start off, this is my computer room. That's where I stream. This is the couch. This is the futon that's in my background. It's torn up for my cat. There's a mirror, some guitars. There's a separate desk over here. I'm sorry, it's weird. This is weird. There's a separate desk here. This is Emma's desk. I flipped the camera around. This is where I keep my sim rig when I'm not using it. That's a mini fridge that's not plugged in and hasn't been plugged in since I moved in here. That's the Great Wave. That's a melting clock. This is that desk again. Very dark, no lights in this area. There's a light here. See, there was a dome covering this light, but then one day I just did this to the dome, and I touched it, and it fell and shattered upon the floor. And this is just this. So soldering iron there, some Dragon Ball Z memorabilia, that fucker, some lunch boxes, space, the Beatles. It's the usual stuff, And then there's my downstairs. There's a Menards up there. We don't talk about Menards on this channel. Okay, and then into the band room. Boom bada bing, dude. Welcome to the band room. There's all my guitars. There's this lovely tapestry you guys would have saw in the Humstang video. There's a poster I haven't hung on the wall, and probably will never hang on the wall. This is a drum set. Not my drum set. This is my drummer and friend, Jack. This is his drum set. I have my own drum set, but it's at my parents' house. There's a whole bunch of guitar cases, some laptops, amps, pedals, excitement, cat, vinegar. This is where I keep my tools, because I work a lot on stupid stuff all the goddamn time, so this is kind of where they stay. It's very dark in this room, and I apologize for that. Not much I can really do about that. This window's blocked off to stop sound and mostly light because there's no blinds here. So yeah, basically, this is the band room, right? I don't know what I'm saying. Here it is. Here's the room of bands. This room used to be downstairs. There's an extension on the house, and this room was there, but then the extension flooded, and since my landlord's a G, he hasn't fixed that. So I just turned that into a storage room. This was the storage room, but then I moved all the band stuff up here. It's still kind of a storage room because behind this tapestry, there's a lovely amount of garbage and stuff on these shelves. So there's like boxes here, and it's like a whole bunch of other stuff on these shelves, and stuff you guys don't want to know about, but it's there. So that's the history of the band room. That's really all you guys needed to know, is that this was a storage room. It's really hot up here. This is the only AC we have in that room, is that AC. It's hot. It is very. I'm wearing a cardigan. I don't know why I decided to do that. It's very hot. I'm keeping the cardigan on though. I get extra style points. We're gonna tune the light. Just kidding. So let me just run you guys through what the fuck we have going on. And I'm gonna intersplice some actual like stuff. I'm gonna go grab a light so I can show you guys what the fuck is up. I'm gonna show you guys the gear that's in this room. I'm gonna talk you through it. I'll give you guys some tone demos, and then I'll just kind of splice in tone demos as I'm talking. Hopefully I can do that. I don't know. My editing skills are trash usually, so you guys have seen them. I'm gonna go grab that light and let's just get to it. Okay, I have the light set up. There she blows. That's just the ring light I use every single time I do a video. That's the only light I really have. Let me show you guys what's up. We're gonna start with the amp. So let's flip around and I'll show you guys the amp. As many a wise men have once said, you want to buy one really good amp, and then you want to have a whole bunch of shitty guitars. One really good amp, as many shitty guitars as your heart desires. So that was my philosophy in building this rig you see here. So let me just get up on this floor here. Let me just sit right on down, and I'll just tell you guys the story. Okay, so this is a Marshall DSL 40 watt combo amp, or I don't think 40 stands for the wattage. I think 40 stands for something else actually. But here it is. She's a tube amp. As you saw, I replaced the tubes on it the other day. I put some groove tubes in it. I replaced all the preamp tubes, and then I also replaced the power tubes because one of the tubes was bad, and I figured just fucking throw the parts cannon in it. We'll be good. This is duct tapes to mark out a mic spot that I was using, which is probably the mic spot you guys will hear when I'm demoing the video. So that's cool. It's a pretty exciting amp. I bought it originally because I was watching a whole bunch of Andertons, and I was using an orange practice amp. It is like an Orange Crush 12, I think that's what they're called. And it was bad, and I needed a new amp. Then I was watching a whole bunch of Andertons, and on Andertons, on pretty much every single Sounds-like episode, they were using the DSL 40 combo amp. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick it up. I'm buying it. And so I went online, looked for a used deal, got this for, I think these retailed for like $600 or something at the time, but I got this for $400. It's supposed to be used. It was not used. It came in brand new packaging. It really wasn't used at all. It was actually just brand new. I don't know why they sold it to me. It had all like the peels on it still. It came in the box. It had the manual with it. This came wrapped up in it's brand new. It was brand new. It was supposed to be used. I got it for a bargain. I'm actually going to throw up the price. I'm going to look up on eBay. I'm going to throw up the price somewhere over here of what I actually paid for it and how much it retailed for, because I think the numbers I'm saying are incorrect. So I'm just going to confirm that before I start saying any more shit. Anyways, it's a pretty exciting amp. Let me just crank it on. Delicious. So what we've got here, we're out. Oh man, you guys are going to be barely able to see this because of how low light it is. And I apologize for the low lightness, man. I'm trying. Let's bring the light closer. Oh yeah, that's a little bit better. This camera kind of sucks ass though in this situation. We'll survive. So we have over here the classic gain channel, which is basically what I stay on. There's two channels. There's a classic gain and then there's an ultra gain. The classic gain is just, classic, clean, very, very clean sounding. And it's, that's it. Ultra gain is like, it's basically this if you cranked it up to 10, 10, and that's 1 on this basically. That's a little bit incorrect, but that's kind of close to what it feels like. It's super loud, super high gain, super squealy, really makes the tubes work for it. It's got a lead 1 channel, lead 2. I think the lead 2 has a little bit more low end, and the lead 1 is supposed to be very chimey and top endy. I don't really use the ultra gain at all. I mostly stick with the classic gain, which has a clean crunch mode, which adds like a indie rockish kind of vibe to the amp. It's useful sometimes, but I mostly just stay full clean on the classic gain, and I kind of keep the gain usually below 6. If you can see there, it goes up in increments of 2. I usually keep it below 6, and then I just, adjust the volume as I see fit, and then I get all of my distortion through pedals, just because I want to be able to revert back to a clean at all times, so that's kind of where I keep that. These dials are not correct. I actually usually have it set something like this. But this is just the EQ. I don't know. That's how I set it up. That's just how I've learned to set it up over the years. I mean, get this light not shining on everything directly. That's still bad light placement there. Okay, well, this will have to do. There we go. No, that's even worse. That's terrible. That's just how we're doing it. Is the camera lens dirty? Is that wow? No, the camera lens wasn't dirty. I'm just bad at filming videos. Okay. Yeah, so this is how I usually do my EQ or something like this. Sometimes I cut the mid a little bit and just do treble and bass, but most of the time I have more mid than treble and bass. The tone shift, I think, has to do with how it processes the presence and the resonance effects. Not too sure on that one. I know press out, it's more bassy, and it makes the speaker wobble a little bit more, makes the tubes struggle a little bit more, so I usually keep it pressed in because it doesn't do that. Resonance is cool because it just adds like a whole bunch of warmness, which is the warmness dial, so you just turn it up nice and warm. Presence kind of adds like a little bit like an electric acoustic feel to it. This one came with the amp too. I don't know what it does though. I've been trying to figure it out. Okay, back to the amp. It has reverb, and then the reverb's adjustable for each channel, but I actually most of the time keep it entirely and fully off. But the dials are usually cranked because in case I want it on. It came with this nifty little foot switch, which you can use to switch between the classic gain and the ultra gain channel, and then you can turn the reverb on and off. But when I first got this amp, I pretty much ran it with reverb on all the time, just full crank. The reverb is very light, actually. It's not a very heavy reverb. You don't get a lot of surf and turf with it. That's my cat's tail. Don't worry about that. But it's not very reverby. It's just kind of, it's reverb for the sake of the amp having reverb. It's not very good reverb. It's okay though. I mean, as far as reverb goes, it's okay, but it's not very strong. I want strong reverb, and to get strong reverb, I just use pedals. So we'll get to that when we get to that. There's some more crap on the back of this amp. Let me scoot it around and I'll show you actually. Hold on. Okie dokie. Here's the more crap on the back of the amp. Man, it's just fun and exciting, isn't it? So you can go out to 2 speakers here. This is going to be for like if you have a cab, you can, like a dual cabs or something like that. I don't use a cab. I just use the speaker that's in here, which is a Celestion 7080. That's the speaker that comes stock in these bad boys. Then we have an effects loop. Again, I don't really use the effects loop at all. I would if I had a looper. If I start looping, I'll probably end up using the effects loop, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. This is where you plug in the foot switch. It's like a Fender style kind of. It's a foot switch. And then we can go here. We can go to pentode and triode, which is full power or half power. Apparently, it changes how everything sounds. I haven't really noticed the difference, so I just keep it on full power because that sounds pretty metal to me. Then there's the mains input, which they've written the English way because Marshall's an English company. So, yeah, apparently it's made in Vietnam. I didn't know that. But yeah, I took it out. I took out the tubes that are in there. You see them glowing up. I took them out, replaced them with some grooved tubes. I think they're EL34s, the power tubes. And then I replaced all the preamp tubes, which I don't remember what the fuck those were. And then I biased it. I set it to 38 because some man on YouTube said to set it to 38, so that's what I did. I trusted him. I tried not to murder myself. Looks like I did a good job. So other than that, man, let's get to a tone test. Let me flip this bitch around though. Okay, so for the tone demo, I was struggling to see. I was trying to figure out what guitars to use. I was thinking about using the the Squier Vintage Modified Jaguar. I want to use a guitar that you guys would know the sound of already, kinda. And Jaguars are weird guitars and not everyone knows the sound of those. And if I was going to use it, I was going to use a rhythm circuit because the normal circuits are a little too thin for me. And I don't think it would demonstrate the power of this amp very well. Then I thought about using the Strat, but then the Strat's pots are fucked up, so it does just sound different. And I would pretty much only use the neck pickup, and we don't want to just have a neck pickup only situation. I'm just covering all the camera. And so I've come to the conclusion, and I don't want to use the Homestang because that's a literal custom YouTuber hot rodded guitar. No one should know what that sounds like. Telecaster, you might know what it sounds like, but you might not have a reference for that at home. So I don't want to use that because it's got custom shop pickups in it. Not everyone's got custom shop pickups lying around. So I figured we're gonna use the most expensive pickups I have, obviously, because I'm fucking stupid. We're gonna use, I'm not gonna hit the ceiling, we're gonna use the Firebird. Because the Firebird has humbuckers in it. I'm gonna look up what humbuckers are in there, and I'm gonna put them up on the screen right here, starting now. And basically, I'm gonna use that because humbuckers are universal, and most humbuckers sound pretty similar. So, and those humbuckers sound good with gain and without gain, so you guys can kind of get the gist of what the fuck everything's about. So listen to that beautiful tone test right now. So to start, I'm gonna run it through the settings that I just kind of had it set to right now. The settings kind of get fiddled with on occasion, so they don't have like a certain spot that they sit. Certain days, because it's a tube amp, it'll sound different, so the settings will get adjusted. Just kind of depends how I'm feeling each day. So right now we have the clean crunch off. We're on the normal classic gain channel. The gain is on 4. The volume is on 2 or like 3-ish, 2.5-ish, 3-ish. And we have the treble maxed out. The bass is at 8. The middle is at 6. We also have presence turned all the way off. Resonance is maxed. We have the reverb channels entirely off, just so you guys can hear it without reverb. And that's where we're at. The lead button is pushed in, so I believe that's lead 1. So we'll go from there. Alright, so here is clean tone with all those settings, no reverb. Okay, so let me kick on some reverb for you guys. Okay, now that you've listened to that beautiful tone test, see, it's been literally just 3 seconds for me, but for you, you must have enjoyed the whole 1 minute of tone testing. So now that we've played with the classic gain and the clean channel, let's do a little bit of clean crunching. Unless I did it there, but I don't think I did. So let's do a little bit of clean crunching. I'll mess with the volume and the gain on that. So enjoy that beautiful sound. So this is clean crunch. Okay, so now you've enjoyed that beautiful sound. We're going to switch on over to the ultra gain setting, and we're just going to start with pressed in, which I'm sure is just lead 1, I guess. I don't know. Pressed in, I'm going to grab the manual and I'll tell you I'll tell you what pressed in means. So enjoy that. So we're on the ultra gain now. I have the gain at about 6 and the volume is at about 1. It's like a little under 1, not very high. So the ultra gain channel is not for bedroom playing. It's for gigging. So we're on lead 1 right now. Okay, and now I'm just gonna mess around with some of the EQ a little bit. All those other things you're just gonna hear some EQ. So we're gonna hear some EQing, and I'm gonna fuck with the tone shift, the presence, and the resonance knob a little bit in this demo. So this is the EQ demo, where I'm just demoing all this garbage right here. Okay, so now we have the tone shift off. We're going to mess with some of the EQ settings. So every knob is turned to 5, which is 12 o'clock on the treble, middle, and bass. So here's what that sounds like. So we kind of left the middle at 5. The treble is kind of around the 8-ish mark, and so is the bass. So here's what that sounds like. I'm going to turn the presence knob all the way up and the resonance all the way down. We'll just start with just the resonance down, actually. So this is with the resonance all the way off. Okay, so this is the presence knob all the way up. Messed up a little bit there, but it's all good. I'm gonna cut the resonance all the way back on and turn off the presence, and then this is gonna be the tone shift button in. Okay, so now that we've fully demoed the amp, let's go over to the pedals, and let me show you the beauty that is these pedals. Also, the reason I'm not recording these demos at the same time that I'm going through the amps and stuff is because I had to set up a mic, and I'm using the mic to do another video after this, and I don't want to set it up here when it's already set up for that video, so I'm going to go record that video, and then I'll do this tone test probably tomorrow. Also, the reason I'm doing this is because I bought a new guitar, which you guys should see in like a day or two. We have another amp, actually, to go to. I said I was going to do the pedals, but we have other amp obligations first, so let me take you guys to these other amps real quick. I'll just go real quick on them, okay? So this is the other guitar amp that I use occasionally. Like I said, I had that orange Crush amp. I'm pretty sure I've lent that out to someone who's trying to learn how to play guitar. I haven't heard of it back. I might get it back at some point. I'm not sure. So this is a Fender Frontman 15G little practice amp. These come bundled in with basically every single fucking Squire on the planet. Mine's a little different because you see I have a little switch here. We'll talk about that switch in a moment. Basically, this amp's pretty good. The speaker's actually decent. This is the best practice amp that I've personally used. These little 15Gs, they just, like, the speaker is just set up perfectly for the amp. The amp just gives you those classic Fender tones. The gain actually sounds really, really good coming out of this speaker. It produces enough power. We have a headphone port you can aux in. The newer versions just have a 3.5 millimeter jack here, so you don't have to like go find a cable to convert it. So you can literally just plug your phone into these and play a song and play along with it. These are great. These are good amps. They sound fantastic. And so, of course, I've modified this amp. In the Humstang video, you may have noticed that I said I was playing through a weird combination of amps. This is part of that combination. Basically, while this amp was broken, I ordered tubes from Sweetwater. They took 3 months to get to me. So in the meantime, while this was and this was broken for like a month before I ordered the tubes. So this is like 4 months of me not having this amp. So basically, I was using this bad boy. And as I said before in many videos, I'm working on producing music. So I was recording with this bad boy. But this bad boy sounds like a practice amp. We don't want it to sound like a practice amp. We want it to sound as big as that amp. So how do we fix that? It's simple. We chuck fuzzy dice on the back and it fixes all the problems. No, just kidding. That's a lie. Fuck. No. We add an out. So basically what I did is I would open it up and show you, but it's a whole bunch of hell that I'd have to go through, so we're not going to do that. But basically what I did is I bought a whole bunch of guitar jacks. They were like, it was like $5 for like 60 billion of them on eBay. So, I had to do it. I bought a whole bunch of them. They came in the mail. I don't know why I've told you that part, because of course they came in the mail. And what I did is I cut the original wire running to the speakers, bridged it off, sent that wire to that switch up front. So that switch has 2 outs. It has 1 out going to the speaker that's in this practice amp, and then 1 out that goes to this little jack. That way, you can switch between speaker coming out of this amp, the sound coming out of this amp, or you can have the sound output of this output to this. So this is pre-speaker sound. So all that sound, we can actually take a little cable and we can run that from here to the Marshall speaker, which is just plugged in the back. You saw that earlier. And basically we can run this with the Celestion 7080, which is great. And this amp actually sounds really good with the Celestion speaker. It doesn't sound as good as the Marshall, because there's tubes, it's vintage, it's Marshall, but honestly, this is like a fully giggable setup. You can get away with running these. It sounds like a Fender amp. The only thing is missing is reverb. I really thought about taking this and then putting it in like a combo size enclosure. I might do some more mods to this. And all the mods would just pertain to the enclosure, and then maybe I would chuck a reverb in there. I'd probably buy like one of those springy bare pedals and then just disassemble it and then put it in here, so this would have the perfect reverb. So this thing basically never has reverb. But anyways, when you do that mod though, I don't know what the fuck the issue is, but you have to keep the volume really low or else you blow out your speaker, because for some godforsaken reason, and it probably has to do with like impedance or something. Maybe I have to put like a different pot, or maybe I should put a what do you call it? Oh yeah, maybe I have to put an attenuator in between the lines. But this pot is very sensitive. 2 is like 10 on that, so you gotta like balance in between the 1 and the 2, and there's not a whole lot of usable volumes. And if you go to 10, you're gonna die. So we keep that usually at like 2-ish. Or I mean, I guess like 3's like a 10 on the Marshall, but it's very, very loud for no reason. So I think I have to get an attenuator for this. So if I was going to turn this to a cab, I'd chuck an attenuator in it. This has a drive select. I mean, you guys have seen these before. You guys know what these sound like. There's a drive select. You can turn on like the drive, and the drive has its own volume. 1 gain, treble, middle, bass. They basically don't do anything, so I just keep them here. Sometimes the bass gets overwhelming, so we cut it a little bit, but other than that, it pretty much stays looking like this. This switch, there's a newer model of this, because this is like the '05 version, like the 2005 one or whatever. I got this from a friend who tried to learn guitar, never learned, and it just sat in his closet. So this is an older version of it. And this version is exciting because it's like before they added like a certain feature. I don't remember what the feature was, but that feature, I guess they're thinking about it when they made this amp, because there's a blank hole behind this like sticker right here, And so I didn't even have to drill anything. I just stuck the switch through that hole. That's why it looks so good. On the orange Crush amp that I modified to do just the same thing where outputs to a different speaker. The orange Crush sounds like poo-poo diarrhea, and the switch I put in the back. So, yeah, if you wanted to know, you can legit gig with this. These sound really good. And so I'm going to give you guys a tone demo of just, we're going to do a clean, and then we're going to do the drive, and then I'll kind of mess with the settings in between those. So let's start with the clean. Here's the clean. Here's what it sounds like with my normal settings. Now that you've enjoyed the sweet, sweet clean of this Fender practice amp running through the Marshall speaker, I probably should have specified that before, but now you know. I'll probably put white text up saying that or whatever. Anyways, now you've heard that beautiful clean, let's hear a wonderful drive on this amp, just the built-in drive. So let's go to the drive, and then you guys can hear what this drive sounds like. Alright, now that you've heard this beautiful amp, now you know why I like it and why I modded it, because it actually sounds good for being a piece of garbage. So with that, that's this amp. There's one more amp. I have this, you can barely see it in this video, but it's there. This is a Fender Rumble LT25, which is like a digital modeling amp that they made for basses, and I use that for my bass guitar. I bought it because it has basically every single Fender bass amp all in one, and I don't want to buy more than one bass amp, so that's my bass amp. You're not going to hear any of that because I don't play bass. Fuck that. Fuck that amp. It's an okay amp. If you're going to buy, wait until Fender comes out with like a Tone Master Bassman or something. If you want to get like a Fender bass amp. This sounds far away. It's okay. It was $125. If you can find this for like $80, it's probably worth it. But don't pay retail for this thing. It's okay. The foot switch is okay. It's an okay amp. For a guitarist playing bass, it's the best I could ask for. But there's definitely better options out there. Wait until Fender comes out with a Tone Master. It'll probably be much better than this. Okay, so now let's go to the pedal board. You're not going to hear that. Fuck you. We're at the pedal board. So I recently just built this pedal board, and we're going to check that cord out of the way. I just built this pedal board. I'm wearing socks today, too, if you were wondering. So you guys don't have to see my greasy, greasy feet. But I just built this pedal board. I built it... I built it because I didn't have a pedal board. And I want one because they're cool. And it's not fully complete yet, but it will be complete in the near future, and it's only missing one pedal, basically. And so let me just tell you what the fuck's going on here. So my first pedal ever was this Dark Matter Distortion. I wanted a Boss DS1 because that's what Kurt Cobain uses, and Kurt Cobain is love, Kurt Cobain is life. But I asked my family to get me one for Christmas, and then they gave me this instead because the guy at the Guitar Center didn't know what a Boss DS1 was, and he just gave them this. So that's cool. But, you know, it is not a bad distortion. It sounds good. You can get Nirvana out of it. You can get some kind of heavy metal out of it. Honestly, it's a very generic sounding distortion. It's kind of dark, but that's the distortion. But it's a distortion. Then the second pedal I ever got was this small clone chorus. That's my toe. Okay, I'm not going to show you guys that again. That was kind of disturbing. But we have this small clone chorus. I bought this because Nirvana's Love and Nirvana's Life. I think this one is like a early 2000s one. It's not a recent one. I did buy it used. I think I paid like $50 for it. It was the best deal on eBay at the time. So it's a good chorus. Nothing wrong with this chorus. It sounds like a small clone. You guys have heard a small clone before. I guarantee it. It just sounds like the most chorusy chorus out there, and there's not a single thing wrong with it. Apparently, the guy who runs Electro Harmonics is a weirdo, but his chorus is okay, or it's good, I guess. Yeah. And then the next pedal that we got was this Washburn Soloist Distortion, and so basically I ran those two pedals for years, just that and the Marshall amp. That was it, just for years. And then, I wrote a whole bunch of songs, and I've been trying to make an album. And then, I got my friend Devin. He's the producer of my album, and we've been working on that for forever now. And he tried to play guitar, much like most people ever, when he was in like middle school or something, and then he got a distortion pedal for it. And he ended up not learning guitar and got rid of the guitar, or maybe he still has the guitar. I don't remember. But anyways, he gave me this. When we were doing one of our sessions, he remembered that he had a distortion pedal chilling, and he's like, here, take it. And so that was like 3 months ago. So I was literally running just these two pedals for 90% of my guitar career, and I've been playing guitar for like 4 years now. And then 3 months ago, I got another pedal. I'm a basic bitch. Sometimes all you need is a distortion and a chorus, And there was built-in reverb. Like, what else could I ask for? Anyways, he gave me this. This is like, it cuts through the mix a lot more than the dark matter ever did, but it also can get darker. And it's a very nice distortion. I really enjoy the Soloist Distortion. I like all the knobs we have. I like how it looks. I like how it feels. I like how it plays. And so I mostly use that. Well, I'll explain how I use them in a second. Then, Devin, my friend and producer of album that we're working on still forever. We've been working on it for like 3 years now at this point, which is cool. The week after he gave me this, Devin was like, oh yeah, my brother has a tone reaper pedal. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah, of course. So this is Tone Reaper is by Earthquaker Devices, which is exciting. They're actually local to me. They're like an Akron company, and I live nearby Akron, so they are a local pedal manufacturer. This pedal is kind of funny because sometimes when you turn it on, it just gets radio signals, which is funny, but it's fun. So it's just a fuzz pedal. It could be fuzzier, actually. I've heard better fuzzes than this one, but this was a free fuzz, so I'm not gonna say it's bad. I'm just gonna say there's better fuzzes out there. So that's that fuzz pedal. Then the next pedal I technically got was this bad boy. It's just a tuner. There's not even a guitar plugged in. Oh, there is, actually. It's just a tuner. It tunes. I bought it off Amazon. It was cheap. I think I paid like $20. It tunes. That's all I needed. Oh, wait, and it'll mute too. It has two outputs right here. One's for when you kick this on, the top one, when you kick it on, it'll mute the top output. But you could also have it set up so that when you kick this on and you're tuning, you could have it play while you're also tuning. But I like to keep it off because it's like having a mute, And then the next pedal I got was actually this thing. This is a Zoom G2.1U. I bought this used off of Reverb. It was like $50. I'm just the king of $50 things. I'm actually going to put up all the prices of these pedals. Not now, but as I've talked about them, you will have seen them coming up. And yeah, I bought this because Dave Simpson uses this, and he's like my guitar idol, or one of my guitar idols, other than Kurt Cobain. It's basically Kurt Cobain and Dave Simpson, and everyone idolizes Jimi Hendrix, but basically those two guys. And he uses a Zoom on every board, basically, and so I had to get one. I wanted to see what all the fuss is about. And I love it, and the reverb on this is way better than the one on the Marshall amp, so we never use the Marshall amp reverb, we just use this now. And it's fun to have all these effects, because there's flangers in here, there's distortions, there's compressors, there's noise reduction, there's delay, There's cabinet modulation. There's a drum machine built in. There's a tuner, reverb, vibrola, a whole bunch of other garbage. It's all in there. And that's fantastic because I was never ever going to buy a delay pedal, and I was basically never ever going to buy 90% of these pedals. And it does like wah, and you can have this control volume and stuff. It's great. This is a fantastic pedal. This specific pedal that I have though is kind of fucked up because the guy I bought it from did not take care of it. It was even dirtier than this when I got it. And he sent me the power cable, but the power cable like disintegrated in shipping, so I don't have that anymore. But luckily it can connect to the power supply that I have, which I'll show you in a second. But the power supply is this pedal doesn't like the power supply. It boot loops when it's just on the power supply sometimes. So I run it with batteries because that's the only way I can get it to stop boot looping. And then also these switches are a little sensitive sometimes, and then sometimes they're not sensitive enough. Sometimes when you press them in, it goes to 2 different banks. Because this is how you go, you can change banks with these switches. So this is like down, and this is up. And sometimes it'll go down 2 banks, and sometimes this will not even go up a bank. It'll just not go a bank at all. So pretty much this is the worst Zoom G2 that's around, and it's dying slowly. But I didn't want to buy a new Zoom because I knew this Zoom. I was going to regret buying a new Zoom no matter what I bought because I wanted the one that Dave Simpson uses, and he uses this one, so I bought this one. Okay. Anyways, good pedal. Get one of these. If you don't have any pedals, I would just suggest this as the first pedal. You should just get this as the first pedal. They're cheap. This is from the 90s. It's cheap garbage. It's easy. It's not garbage. It's a great pedal. Anyways, the last pedal I have is this Ibanez Sm7 Smashbox. And you're like, what the fuck is this? That's a good question. So basically, I used to live with a whole bunch of guys in Akron. And basically, when I was living there, one of the guys he was like, hey, Nirvana, I just have a distortion pedal in my closet, but it's broken. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, can I take a look at it? I want to see if I can fix it. And he was like, okay, sure. And so I grab it, and I had a one spot at the time, and I just dropped the one spot on it, and it turned on, and it wasn't broken. And I was like, well, this wasn't very broken. You have a working distortion pedal. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And like I was playing through it, and at the time, their Nirvana caster wasn't as broken as it is these days, and it was actually playing through his Smashbox, and I was like, I will buy this off of you. I love the sound. These switches do some cool stuff. I just loved the sound of it, and I was like, I want it. How much would you sell this for? And he was like, I don't want to sell it. And I'm like, why? You don't even, like, he played jazz. He doesn't need a heavy metal distortion pedal. And he's like, I'm not selling it. I'm like, fuck. So I didn't buy it off of him, and I had literally been thinking about that pedal every single day since then. And when I was building this pedal board, I was like, I gotta have one. So I went on Reverb. I looked for one. When I went to go buy it, it turned out that the shop I was gonna buy it from was literally down the street from my house. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go buy it then. And I just got in my car and drove there, and I said, hey, you guys have this listed on Reverb? And he was like, yep. And I'm like, I'm wanting it. And he's like, okay. And then I bought it. So that was like $50. And this thing sounds fantastic. This is the best pedal on this board. I love this one the most. This one's a close second. If it wasn't as fucked up, I'd probably love it the most. But I love this one the most. So that's all my pedals so far. You may notice that my hairy leg is in the shot. And then you also may notice that there is a void over here. That's because I'm trying to get a Ibanez WH10 here. But it's just, I've been looking for the right one. I'm probably going to end up with one of the V2s because they're cheap. I'm just going to get the cheapest one. From what I hear, they all sound the same. I just need a wah. That's not this wah. This wah is okay, but it's fucked up. This wah is better. So this is, that's what's going here is an Ibanez WH10. So that's going to go there. And then this board will be complete. I got the actual board itself from Amazon. I'm almost 100% sure I paid $80 for it. This is the best value of board on there. And you know, some of the welds aren't great. The Velcro they gave me was kind of shitty. And they didn't give me a strap to mount the power supply. But it's literally just a piece of board that you put all your pedals on. So I guess I didn't care, and I got full value out of it, and it's good. And it even came with a case, which I don't have with me, but it came with it, and the case is actually okay. So now I'm going to show you the power that we're running here. Hopefully all the pedals don't fall off. Let's see. They didn't all fall off. Yay. So you can't really see it because it's all black, but I do have all the cables semi-managed so they're not all over the place. But this is the power supply. It's a Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2 Plus. The top is all fucked up. I will show you a picture of the top being fucked up right now if I have one. If I don't, you'll just see text saying I don't have a picture. But the top's all fucked up, but it's cool. I love this pedal. I love this power because it's just a power supply. That's all I needed. So it's got dip switches to change the power. It's just clean power. That's all it is. So I bought it used. They go for expensive amount of money, but if you're going to be in a sketchy powered environment, then that's a good thing to have. And I'm often plugging in the sketchy outlets in my house, so I'm glad I have that, even though I have not noticed any sound difference between this and a one spot. So if that tells you guys anything, maybe I'm deaf. So that being said, let's talk about why I have these pedals in this configuration and what I use them for. So to start, this is a tuner. I use it to tune the guitar. Okay. So yeah, like I said, I use this to tune the guitar. It's also a mute. That's it. It's a tuner. This is a fuzz. We're not gonna talk about that right now. It's right here in the loop. So this is the guitar. The guitar is going right into here, and then this is the amp. This is the amp. So guitar in, amp. So there you go. So it literally just goes like this, and then this goes to here, then this goes to here, and then amp. The wah will probably go before this, so this will probably end up coming out of the wah. Or I don't know. Actually, the wah will probably. I don't know. We'll see when it gets here. I don't know if I want the reverb before or after the wah. I think I want the reverb after the wah. So it's probably going to be wah, then this. It's probably going to be here, wah, this. Anyways, I have enough patch cables to do it, and I have long enough ones to do it. So we're not going to worry about that for now. But what we do have to worry about is how I use these pedals. So we go from the tuner into the fuzz, into this distortion, into this distortion, into this distortion, into the chorus, into the zoom. And here's how we use them. So this pedal, the dark matter, I have, you may have noticed, basically none of the drive and none of the gain is on. And actually I usually have it even way less than that. In fact, these knobs aren't even correct because Devin was fucking with these, and this is not at all how I have these knobs. So we're just gonna set them up like this. I usually just have it kind of set up like that, where it's like no gain or just like a little bit of gain. And this is just so that when I'm doing, if I'm doing a song that has both distortion and clean tones, this kind of helps even out the mix to where when I cut off the distortion, it doesn't feel as abrupt, and this kind of still has a little bit of a zing and zest to the guitar tone. So this is pretty much an always on pedal when I'm using distortion. And so when I'm using this and I want to kick on a distortion, I kick on the Soloist. The Soloist just acts as like a all-purpose slap this bitch on for distortion. So there's that. And if I wanted to go an even step higher than this distortion, we click on the fuzz. So then we'd go here as like a clean tone, here is a distortion, and then here is a mega distortion fuck mode. So that's kind of how these trio of pedals work. Those don't get used with the Ibanez Smashbox. They kind of stay within themselves. The dark matter, it doesn't really do it. Pretty much none of these pedals, except for sometimes the fuzz, does anything to the Smashbox. The Smashbox kind of just fucks up anything that's before it. So that's why it's like way at the end, because if it ran through any of these pedals, it wouldn't do anything. But basically, yeah, like I said, the dark matter is used to level out any kind of sounds. This is distortion. So, just think your average distortion, kick it on. It's just nice. It's easy. And this is fuzz. Fuzz, I often will just use it with the dark matter and the fuzz, just as like a clean over fuzz. Or sometimes I'll just use just the fuzz. The fuzz doesn't usually get kicked on during a song unless I already have the distortion on, for the most part. So that's how I use that. as far as my ears, that's what sounds the best with these. Also, I need to figure out a different way to click these in because I have this pedal board set up weird. I probably should put this here and move these down here, is what I've learned. But, you know, you win some, you lose some. Anyways, so then, you know, after all that distortion, we have the Ibanez Smashbox. And so with the Smashbox, what I'll do sometimes is, you know, we keep the always on dark matter on to ease some transitions, but the Smashbox is, it just goes sicko mode on pretty much all these other distortion pedals. So for this distortion pedal, think like, yeah, it's a distortion pedal. It's fun, it's exciting, it's alternative, it's indie-ish. And then this distortion, think System of a Down just came into your house and then said, fuck you, and turn on all their distortion. Because that's basically what this sounds like. This is like heavy metal to the max. I love it. And so I pretty much never use it in conjunction with these other distortions. And if I'm gonna make, sometimes I'll use it to make a point. So actually, basically what I just said was wrong. Everything I just said was wrong. Basically, I do use it with these other distortions. With all these on, though, the signal gets so fucked up that it basically clips everything and it just cuts out randomly, so we don't use all of them. If anything, you know, sometimes we'll be doing something like this, and this will be considered like a light distortion for that song, and then we go here, bang, heavy distortion. Because this distortion just sounds so unique compared to all this other stuff that when you turn it on, it's like clear that you've made a definite tone difference. And like the distortion is so, it's very stringy, it's sharp, it's volatile. You can have it void out, which is like when you palm mute and stuff, it'll just like cut all sound out of it, so you can have it stop squealing the guitar. I usually have it on full squealy mode so that I can get all this sweet distortion. Well, sometimes when you're recording, you just want it to be voiding out because it's just a pain in the ass when it doesn't. Typically, I have it cranked fully on the drive, but when you crank the drive, you get a lot of high. So we have a lot of the highs pulled out, but if you pull all the highs out, then it gets too dark. But then, so we have a lot of lows put up to remove some of the highs, but then we have the highs cranked all the way back because if you put too much highs, and it's weird. Let's start that. Usually I run it with the drive all the way up. The low is kind of weird because sometimes it gets too much low end, but I have the low end cranked here. But when you crank the drive, you get too much high, so I had to crank the low end to remove some of the high, and then I pull back some of the high because it's still too much when the low end is cranked, just so that I don't have so much high here. But if you remove all the high, then it gets too low endy. But if you take out the low end, then it gets too high. So it's a weird balancing act. But that's kind of how I found it works. And the level is just the volume. That changes depending on what the fuck I'm doing. And then it also has a switch, which is the edge, which is a sharp or smooth edge, which is what you can do. And for some reason, it's not focusing, which is sick. But yeah, sharp or smooth edge. I usually keep it on the smooth because if you think about like an audio signal, like a line, like let's say like audio signal line going here, the smooth rounds out kind of the tips of it, and it makes it sound a little bit better sometimes. And sometimes the sharp sounds a little bit better. Sharp sounds more stringy, is what I'd say, and then smooth kind of removes some of the strings, but this whole pedal is stringy, so some of the strings removed is still much stringier than any of this other garbage. So yeah, sometimes I'll use it, you know, to kick in over the Washburn, but a lot of times it just gets used by itself. It's just an always on, like if I'm doing like a heavier song, it's just always on. So that's my 4 distortion pedals. So that's my 3 distortion pedals and fuzz. That's a lot of distortion we got going on here, but that's just what we need sometimes. This is the chorus. With the chorus, it's a chorus. You know, use it for solos, use it for vibing. It's just, you know, kick it on when you need some vibes, when you feel like you need to get some water, dude, when you need to get a little bit wet sometimes. You just kick this bad boy on. The depth is fun to play with. The rate is fun to play with. I found that this is like the perfect chorus setting for most songs. Yeah, but sometimes you need to get funky with it. So you cut it up and you get really funky with it. And sometimes you need to get less funky with it. Sometimes you need to get max funky. So it kind of just depends. That's max funky. We don't want to do max funky today. Anyways, it's a chorus. It's a small clone. You've heard it. you know, you just use it to modulate all this garbage up here. Makes you know, soloing sounds nice. Gives you some wishy-washy tones. Fun to play around with. Helps a lot with Nirvana covers. As you know, I'm a big Kurt Cobain fan. I own a Jaguar. So now, onto the Zoom. Basically, I use this for reverb and then noise reduction most of the time. Sometimes I'll use it for flanger, flanger. Sometimes I'll use it for flanger. so if I need to flang everything. Sometimes it's, you know, delay, if I need any delay. If I somehow needed to do reverse guitar, I think that's also in here. But it's mostly just a reverb machine right there. And then it also has wah, which I use to do wah right now. But I would replace that wah with an Ibanez WH10 if I had one. So just let that be known. The wah in here is pretty okay. I like the vintage one. They have two wahs in here. There's a non-vintage one, there's like a modern one, and then there's like a vintage Jimi Hendrix-ish one. That's the better one. As far as this pedal goes, it's still kind of fresh to me, and it's kind of a difficult pedal to learn. Oh, not difficult. It's more complicated. So getting the sounds that I want out of it, it's going to take a couple more months of experimenting to see exactly what I want out of this. But for right now, it's pretty much all the effects that aren't on this board, any like modulation stuff, comes out of here. I'm not going to use this for any drives because I have 3 right there. And if I use this for a drive, I must be doing crack. So I don't need this for any drives. Noise reduction is nice to have. Compressor is nice to have as well, because sometimes you just need to compress all this garbage up here. So, and it has a drum machine, which is nice for practicing. It actually makes me want to play guitar more, knowing that I can just click on a drum machine backing track whenever I want, and have it play through my amp, and I can just kind of solo to it. It's making me a better guitarist, I would say. So that's my pedal board. And so we're going to start with the tone demos, guys. First, we're going to look at my beautiful thigh. Okay. And so now that we've looked at that, we're going to do some tone demos. So we're going to start with the tuner. This is what the tuner sounds like. Okay, you may have noticed that the tuner didn't sound like anything. That's because it's a fucking tuner. Okay, we're done with that. Here's what the fuzz sounds like. If I didn't state it in the other section, for the purpose of this video, I'll be running it with the Zoom G2 reverb on instead of the inbuilt Marshall DSL40 reverb. By now you've already heard what the Marshall sounds like and what the reverb on there sounds like. The Zoom's just running like just a generic vintage style spring reverb. Just recording straight in the cakewalk, and then I'm not going to process it and you'll just hear it from there. So now we're going to slide over to the fuzz. These are the settings that I use most often on the fuzz. This is just what I have it set up, what I like right now. I do adjust the level according to the guitar, because sometimes certain guitars are louder or quieter with each pedal. Other than that, these settings basically stay the same. I like the tone all the way down, and the fuzz is about halfway up. So here's what the fuzz sounds like. Okay, here's what the dark matter sounds like. Right now, these are the settings that I normally run. Alright, here's what the Washburn Soloist Distortion looks like. Now we're going to do the Washburn. These are the settings that I use the most. Alright, here's what the SM7 Ibanez Smashbox sounds like. This is going to be the Ibanez Smashbox on its normal settings. Here's what the small clone sounds like. The chorus is pretty straightforward, so we're not going to mess with it a whole bunch. Alright, I'm going to flip the depth switch, and you guys can hear what the depth does. The rate just speeds it up. I mean, it's a chorus. You guys know what the fuck this sounds like. I'm not going to fuck with it too much. And finally, here's just a couple of the sounds the Zoom can provide. I'm not going to go in depth. I'm just going to get, the guy who had this before has a whole bunch of banks in here. So I'm just going to go through a whole bunch of them for you. This is just clean with the Zoom G2 reverb. And then we're just going to cycle through a couple of the presets that are in the Zoom. A lot of these banks are just left over from the previous owner. So this first one is just the reverb we've been hearing this whole time. I'm going to kick the wah on so you get to see my socked foot. Yay. Next bank has a whole bunch of modulation effects that I don't have present on the pedal board. There's a delay, a tremolo, I think, some sort of, a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm not too sure exactly what's on there. All I know is that it's on there, so you guys will hear it. And the next banks, I have no idea what they are. I have no idea what they're trying to do. I just know they exist. So here's the next one. Whoops. Okay. Here's the next bank. Next bank. Sounds the same as the other bank. Next bank. So that being said, I've recorded an hour of me talking to the floor, which is cool. It's always fun and exciting. But I hope you guys enjoyed my little pedal setup. I know it's not perfect. I'm actually probably going to switch this dark matter to this position because I want it to be a nice little even layer. Or I might put it after everything. It's just experimentation. So these pedals are definitely not my final board. You know, literally 2 of them I happened to come across for free. There's only like this one I really wanted. This is just I happen to have. So, you know, this pedal board's gonna get bigger. There's gonna be more stuff on it at some point. It's probably gonna have roughly the same amount of pedals on it. But the only pedals I want right now that I'm missing is the Ibanez Sm7, and then I actually want to get one of those downer loopers. So I would stick that there. But that's my pedal board, baby. Those are my amps, baby. Okay, so that's all my stuff. That's all the amps and garbage and trash that I have. That's all the pedals that I got. I'm walking around and talking. I'm walking and talking. I'm doing stuff. I don't know why, but that's all the garbage that I have in this house. That's it. I'm not gonna give you guys a drum demo. It's not. I don't drum. I kind of a little bit do, but not as much as I should be. But yeah, basically that's it, man. That's how I live my life. I know we're light on amps, but I like the 1 amp situation because it just makes me not worry about that. I kind of want to get one of those Tone Master amps. They have the twin speaker one, which is I think the twin reverb, and then they have the deluxe reverb. I want to pick one of those up, maybe. We'll see. I'd pick up one of the blonde ones if I was going to get one, because those ones sound cool. I don't like modifying amps. And actually, I don't like... So, guitars are fun to modify. Amps, I feel like I'm going to kill myself because they're high voltage. So, I don't want to modify them. And basically, I just don't want to. So, if I'm going to buy another amp, it's probably not going to have tubes in it because I don't want to deal with changing the tubes again. It wasn't difficult. I just don't want to do it. It's just not something I want to do maintenance on. It's just I want it to be done. I just want it to work every time. That's my philosophy, at least. So it's just annoying to do the tubes, but it does sound good. So I think my rig sounds okay-ish. At least, you know, it sounds like how I want it to sound. I'm getting the tones that I want to get out of it. So fuck you. I don't know why I said that, but like I said, I'm getting the tones that I want to get out of it. It's a good little amp. I usually run through this a Scarlett a Scarlett microphone. I usually run it all through the Scarlett microphone, which is what you guys heard today. I hope you guys enjoyed my little van room. I know it's a little shanty, it's a little shack. It's not very cool, but it's my stuff. I feel proud of it. So I wanted to show you guys this before the guitar that's coming in like a day or two, the Univox. So the next video after this video, Either tomorrow after you're seeing this video or the day after tomorrow, 2 days after this video comes out, either the next or the day after, you're going to see another video of my new guitar that I don't actually have right now in the filming of this video, but while I'm filming this video, tomorrow I'm getting it. But anyways, I just want to show you guys what I'm running through before I start buying more guitars and fixing stuff. That way you guys know what the fuck's going on. So, you know, as always, you know, I'm going to be upgrading stuff. I'm still a fledgling guitarist, you know. There's guys out there who've been playing for 20 years. I've only been playing for 5. You know, so I can, there's much more improvement for me to be made. There's much more stuff for me to be learning. My neck flab is being highlighted by the light that I've left on the ground, but it's okay. There's just a lot more stuff for me to do in regards to guitar. You know, I started my first foray in the pedals. You know, I'm a very simple man. All I need is distortion and a chorus, usually, and reverb. So, but we're getting there, man. Wah is exciting. Wah gets me feeling something different these days. So maybe I'm a wah guy. We'll see when the Ibanez wah gets here. I've been using the wah on the Zoom, but the pedal creaks so much that it captures in every single recording that we do with it. So we haven't been using it at all. But it's fun to play around with some of this stuff. So more pedal board stuff will be coming in the future. More amp stuff will be coming in the future if I ever buy new amps. And then more guitar stuff is definitely coming in the future, because I will 100% be buying more guitars, because that's the coolest part of playing guitar, is owning a million billion guitars. And if anyone tells you that owning a million billion guitars isn't cool, they're wrong. And they don't have gas. I have gas, you have gas, we all have gas. Look, let me tell you right now. Owning guitars is cool. Having a million of them is also cool. Don't let anyone tell you it's different, okay? Even if you're like, all you know how to do is play the E chord, you just buy as many as you want. No one cares. It's okay if you don't, if all you can do is the E chord. As long as you appreciate the guitar itself, I think everyone's fine with that. Anyways, I can play more than E chords, so I'm good. Like I said, I'm recording an album. I said this like 8 times during this video. I'm literally making an album. I wrote lyrics and all this shit. It's taken me literally years. It's been literal years of production. I have too many hobbies, man. I have too many hobbies to be super good at one. So I apologize if my guitar stuff isn't super good, or if my tone demos weren't amazing. But I'm into too many things at once to focus on one. So with that being said, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that motherfucking subscribe button. Hit that like button. I'll see you bitches next time. Bye-bye.